Welcome to another episode of the Gamerheads Podcast. My name is Roger. This week we have a really special episode. I have Asa with me this week. Asa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Roger. Happy to be here.
Yeah. This is your second episode.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Fireside chat this time.
Yeah, it is just you and I. Because this week we both were in the room. I did not get to play the game, but you did. You got to play Bravely Default Flying Fairy Remastered HD on the Nintendo Switch 2 at PAX East.
Switch 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
I am now realizing I think only one person went after me, and we were there for a little bit. So anybody else could have jumped in.
Yeah, I could have jumped in.
I'm just now realizing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I could have jumped in. And they said that. They actually said you can play too. But I thought, it's okay. I didn't want to take up too much of their time.
And I mean, we're going to be talking about it, but it was only 10 minutes. They really locked that down. You sat down and they're like, timer starts as soon as your butt hits the couch.
But you got to play, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So can I ask a quick question? Well, I have a couple questions, but did you play the original on the 3DS?
I did, and I meant to pull my copy out. I've actually got
I have it. I have mine right here.
There's a bin right here full of games, and it's
yeah. So you played the first one.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first reaction when you picked up the Switch 2 and started playing the remastered game?
So my first reaction was breathtaking because it started off by showing a little trailer, almost like, back in the olden days, if you would sit in the menu for too long, it would either play some gameplay or it would play this baked in trailer. So it started doing that, this opening cinematic, and the graphics alone, I was like, wow. And we kind of talking and not talking about other games that we played. It was one of those moments where I thought to myself, this is how I envisioned it looking when I played the original. Yeah. And I remember as soon as I got back from PAX, I popped in my 3DS or popped the original into my 3DS because I was like, I have to know, did it really look that good? Or and it's a massive improvement. I don't know why I was doubting. But it was breathtaking enough to make me go, wow, I might replay Bravely Default.
That's awesome.
Day one with the Switch 2.
Yeah.
And so it was just a brief moment of that cinematic. And then it was, all right, we're docking and we're playing. And from there, I was kind of shuffled into two different sections. So, but I'll pause there because I don't know what your next question is.
No. I think well, that's cool. I guess my question was going to be what stood out most in terms of the remastered. Was it the character models, the environment, the animations? What was visually what kind of struck you?
So visually, obviously the fidelity, the clear picture. The first thing that I looked for was I was looking at their feet. I'm like, do we still have the ballpoint pen feet, or do we actually have toes and soles and arches? I'm happy that they kept the style. They do have these little kind of suggestive lines that there are feet, but the style is still very uniquely Bravely Default. And from what I got to play, so I guess to kind of dive into that. They had two sections. So they're you can play story, just dive right in and see the improvements. Or if you want to get a feel for the controls and see some new things that we added to the game, you can check out the mini games. Started to go to the story because I'm I'm eager to see what there is to see. And initially stopped and I just asked the Nintendo rep, and I said, where do you think I'm going to get the best experience out of now 7 minutes? Because we spent the first couple minutes doing all of that. And they said mini games. So that's where I jumped in. And I have to say, the first mini game had me a little underwhelmed. So the whole time you're playing in mouse mode. That's really for the mini game portion. So like I said, we're docked. We're jumping into mouse mode because they for these mini games, you're going to be doing a lot of sliding around. I'll get into like my actual like impressions for the controls in a little bit, but just talking about the mini games, the first one I did was like a rhythm music game,
Okay.
very like Persona Dancing All Night kind of vibes, and
Mm.
they started me off with that one, I think, because it really was just getting used to the controls, because you're sliding around, matching up, like hit the different areas, clicking when you have to click, like very rhythm game esque. And I was a little underwhelmed. I was like, this is nice to like get used to this type of control,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like wowing me at all. Oh my gosh, sorry. The background of my computer is like game slip box art,
Oh,
and
okay.
it just like rotates and literally bravely defaults up right now.
Did it really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm not
That's
even kidding.
amazing. That's awesome.
I'll text that to you later.
Okay.
I really
That is
didn't plan
fate.
that.
That is fate. That is fate.
But the second one is, Roger, I'm not kidding. The second mini game blew me away.
Yeah.
Um, and this one, the controls made complete sense, and I was really lost in the sauce when I was going. So,
Mm.
you are piloting a steam, like an airship.
Okay.
I was gonna say a steamboat, but you know it's an airship. Very steampunky vibes, obviously. Uh, and it starts off very tame, very
Mm.
simple. You know, you are flicking two levers with this hand, and then with this hand you are pulling the exhaust valve, and that's it. Level 2, all right, we're now going to do the, I'm going to pretend to know nautical terms, where we're
Yeah.
doing the thrust and the reverse,
Sure.
and then we've got the spinning wheel, which has me
Yeah.
doing the yaw and the pitch,
Yeah. Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah.
um but you actually have little hands that are indicated on the screen that kind of match, almost like if you were doing pointer controls.
Okay.
um, but it does feel a lot more tactile and like you're doing something
Okay.
when you're on the mouse and keyboard kind of setup.
Did did it give like some haptic feedback when you were like controlling these things?
It did, but only slightly, and I
Okay.
think that's just because of the nature of the game, because the
Yeah.
game ended up being a lot of clicking all these different switches.
Mm.
The most that I felt was I would have to grab a wrench and tighten up a pipe, and you could kind of
Mm.
feel a little bit
Really?
as you're doing that. Yeah, just very like, if you ever played like 1-2 switch,
I
and
haven't.
what,
I
Roger, that
haven't.
was like a day one switch game.
Yeah, it should have been packed in. That's why I didn't play
It really should have.
it.
I can't
Yeah.
believe I spent like $50 on that thing
Yeah, exactly.
for like 2 nights of play. But ah, man, well, I think the Switch, like the Joy-Con, have like some of the best rumble. I think the PS5 haptic feedback is the next best thing, but that's like mainly in the triggers, right? So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but the
yeah, yeah.
Joy-Con, it's the whole thing. So like,
Yeah,
if when there are mini games in 1-2 Switch where like you are tilting your Joy-Con and you're feeling the marble, like
yeah,
legitimately feeling a marble move up and down, and it just like plays those tricks on your mind.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so like it was kind of like that, a little bit dialed up to 11 when it comes to like using the wrench, and it's like I could feel,
That's
you can't tell
cool.
in the camera, but like I'm
Yeah,
jerking my hand, like you could
yeah,
feel the ridges,
yeah.
and some of like the pushback when you were doing that. And you know, I think, like before I continue talking about that demo, the biggest issue that I had with these controls, and
Mm,
I brought this up to them and they didn't really have an answer for me, is I was like, what if you don't have, because I was playing, so I'm on a couch in a back room on a big table, right? Like it's probably 3-4 feet deep, and 4 feet long, whatever. I've got ample room, right? Like I've
yeah,
got tons of
yeah,
room to move my arms, and there's nothing stopping me from doing that. And I was like, what if I want to do this and I don't have this setup?
yeah,
And they're like, well, you can play in your lap. And so I put it, literally, I took them off the
yeah,
table, I
yeah,
put them in my lap, and I was like,
yeah,
wow, this doesn't feel good. I just told them that. I was like,
yeah.
because the with this game specifically, and you know, I don't know if, you know, maybe the basketball game that they had showed initially, or anything else that uses those kind of mouse controls. This mini game, it's like I said, it just kept building and building. By the you get to the final stage of the mini game, and they really take off the training wheels. You're essentially playing Steel Battalion,
Yeah.
but in the Bravely Default world. And for those
Yeah.
who don't know, Steel Battalion was a game on the original Xbox with the most expensive controller in the world because it had like over 100 buttons and it was the size of a table.
Yeah.
But that's what this mini game felt like. And I was like, I'm going to put hours just into this mini game because you're
Yeah.
full on piloting this thing yourself,
That's cool.
doing all the different switches, taking in radio calls, watching out for like incoming fire, bugs splattering. You got to clean it off, swatting. Like there was just like so much happening.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm going, right? Like I'm so focused, and this ship is not going down.
Not on my watch.
No, not on my watch. And you can't do that in your lab. Like there was so much going on. I needed all of that real estate. Like, you know what I mean? Like my arms needed to be free. So like being cramped, or even like if you're on an airplane, you know, like we fly for these things. So like a tray table? No, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. So they didn't have an answer for me because I was like, well, can I just do pointer controls? Can I do just traditional controls? What if I'm only in handheld mode?
Yeah.
They didn't have an answer. So
okay.
This thing is releasing soon. I hope they do something to patch that, because it really is a great experience, and I think everybody should try it. Even if like you're not a big minigame person, it doesn't feel like Bravely Default. Again, it feels like a Skies of Arcadia meets Steel Battalion meets Bravely Default kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so awesome. I overheard a little bit of your conversation when you were talking to them about that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm glad my loud mouth was echoing.
No. There was a small room. It was a small room.
Yeah, it was.
So one of the things I think a lot of people have questions around, besides just the mouse controls, which I'm glad you talked about that. How did the new screen look? Because I know a lot of people were like really concerned with, I mean, I shouldn't say really concerned, but that's been some criticism of like, why isn't it an OLED? Why do we not have an OLED? How did it look for you? Because every report I've heard was it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it was gorgeous. Like, I understand like people wanting OLED and folks really clamoring for the best and the best when it comes to their tech, but like I have an OLED a Switch and a regular Switch, and I have an OLED Vita and a regular Vita, and I by the end of the day, like I don't really have a preference. It basically all plays the same. If I'm looking at it for the first time in a long time, like maybe I'm gonna really care about the extra pixels and the crispness, but I prefer the battery life over the extended visuals. Which the thing is, like the visuals looked great. Like they didn't look bad. It felt like an upgrade. I wasn't too excited, I guess mainly from a fiscal standpoint, to pre-order the Switch 2. I was like, I'm content with my Switch. I can wait. This made me feel like I didn't want to wait because...
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like not only did like the screen look good, but it felt like, you know, I'm a big and tall guy. And I've got these hands,
big, but not tall.
And these hands, they don't do well with the dainty. They don't do well.
Oh, I 100%.
So like, I love my Switch, but I always have to do like my Split Con Pros or like whatever, like the big gushy pads, and even like sometimes like holding the Switch itself, I feel like I have to be extra careful because like I don't want to snap that thing. Like you see it bend in people's pockets, but the Switch 2 feels sturdy.
Okay.
It feels a lot more durable, specifically the Joy-Cons. I do wish they were a little bit bigger. Like a bigger screen, of course, is always nice, but again, big hands. But I'll probably end up buying, you know, whatever extra accessory comes my way, because, and then also the way that the Joy-Con magnetically click on.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
Yeah.
That was unreal because I was expecting, oh, they're just magnets.
Yeah.
That's going to pull apart super easy.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like I just kind of nonchalantly just gave it a little tug to see if I could just yank them apart. I'm like, it's not my Switch too. And it wasn't. There was no give. There was no
Okay.
tug. I was very
Okay.
pleasantly surprised, and I was like,
Okay.
"Well, hot damn, this feels like an upgrade to me."
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Um, Speaking of buying things, since you own the original,
Mm-hmm.
would you buy this version?
A hands down.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, yeah, I think if you haven't played the game, obviously this is no brainer. It's what, $40? Like it's
It's
not even,
$40. Yeah, it's not. I mean, in the scheme of video games, that is like unheard of.
and for the amount of value that is
Yeah,
in, I mean, like
it's a
you've played Bravely
remaster
Default.
too. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a long game. You're
yeah,
gonna get a lot of meat out of it, and they've added
yeah.
so much to
And
it.
it's good, and it's a good game too.
And it's a great game.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't say that about Bravely Second.
Oh, really? I liked it. I don't know.
I never played it. I
Okay.
bought it. I just didn't play it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Uh,
good. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't
yeah,
matter. That's not
that's
what
why
we're
I was like, I
talking about in the
literally
first
can't
place.
say anything about that. But
Okay.
uh, with Bravely Default, yeah, if you haven't played it, this is easily the best way to play that. And then if you have played it, but you haven't played it since launch, it is. It feels like such a nice homecoming, and I feel like there's going to be, and they said there's a lot of quality of life improvements. Again, I spend most of my time in the mini games, but I absolutely 100% believe them, because I mean, even again looking at the visuals, I was like, this is stunning. Like
Mm,
this is going to be a new way to experience this. So I'm really excited for the immersion that's going to come from it.
yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait. This is going to be because this is a launch title, right? This is a launch title to
I
get the Switch to.
believe so,
I think
because
so too.
the next one is coming out not too long after. Like they're trying to get people jazzed for
Oh,
the
really?
next Bravely Default game. Am I wrong on that?
Oh, three? Or are they gonna bring two to the Switch
Now
too?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Releases 6/5, so it is it's a launch title. So,
Okay,
um,
okay.
yeah. This is one of those games that yes, this is for me. I love the first one. And from what you're saying, in the mini games, I cannot wait to play this game. I am super excited.
Well, and like when you think about the 3DS, that was like an RPG powerhouse.
Yeah, yeah,
Like some of the best RPGs came out on that system, and this hands down is one of them. So
yeah.
again, if you want to play one of the best RPGs that came out on the 3DS, do it.
Nice. Well, Asa, thank you so much for taking time. And well, I mean, first of all, playing the game and then taking time to talk about it
Yeah.
with me. I appreciate it. Before we head out, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky. I don't know the whole. I still don't understand the your name and then the dot did a dot. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
just search A Green River, you'll find
yeah.
me. And
Okay.
then on TikTok, I'm A Green River as well.
Okay. Okay. And listeners, you can follow us on Blue Sky at Gamerheads Podcast. You can follow me at Rogue Leader 1976 as well. You can go to our website where you can hear this show and other shows. Asa was on another show, the previous one, just recapping PAX. So you can go listen to that as well, read the reviews. And that's all at gamerheadspodcast.com. Again, Asa, thank you so much for joining me. There's nobody else. It's just
Yep.
me. It's just me. Uh, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I'll be back.
All right. And listeners, thank you so much for giving us a listen. If you like what you hear, leave us a review. We want to hear what you have to say about the show. If you want to support the Gamerheads podcast, you can as well. Join us at patreon.com for as low as $3 a month. You can join the Gamerheads Nation. And I just want to shout out to our patrons, Matt, Sarah, Adam, and Jill. Thank you so much for joining us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your support. Until next week, everyone, stay safe and game on. Bye.